Welcome, everyone, to the Pick Six podcast, where we discuss the biggest stories in college football. I am your host, Chris Chang, and congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. Got to lead with that. It's the story, sadly. Indiana making history, getting their first national championship, beating UM 27-21. Again, hats off to Mendoza and company. They executed extremely well tonight. We talked about it in the preview that the number one key to victory for Indiana was to be Indiana, and they were. They were disciplined. Only 5 penalties for 38 yards. Quite the opposite for Miami with 7 penalties for 60 yards. It felt way more one-sided. Officiating wise, it was very hard for us to get any calls to go our way, but again, hats off again to Indiana. They executed extremely well, and Miami didn't. And that's been Miami's Achilles heel, all postseason. If we were just skating by, and there's a saying, victory wins hide or make weaknesses look better. I forgot what the quote is. I'm so tired. It's what is it? 1:20 in the morning, getting back from Hard Rock. I know we normally do a instant reaction, but I knew I wasn't going to sleep tonight, so I was just like, let's just get this over with and do a recap all together. But yeah, Miami, just it really came down to like execution at the end of the day. When you look at it, both teams came into this game and they had a game plan, and they were both very similar game plans. It was run the ball, open it up for the RPO, which is what Indiana was able to execute. We were not, especially in that first half, had a really, really hard time running the ball efficiently and consistently. There were several 3-and-outs that it just seemed like Miami was just unable. First four, first 5 drives, first 4 drives, Miami's punting, and then in the 5th drive, getting down the field, missing that field goal, bouncing it off the uprights, and then again, you just have Indiana. We were in it and we were hanging with them, but eventually that discipline and that consistency just that took over, and you saw them execute. The off the shoulder fade killed us, gutted us, especially in those 3rd and longs. So credit to Mendoza finding his players, finding Cooper open towards the end. It was a great game overall. We can say that, right? As UM fans, it was a great game. Didn't end the way we wanted it to. Um, it just sucks, man, to be here. It's like, I know I made that post earlier saying no matter what we win, because it's been a phenomenal season, and it has been. It's been an incredible, historic season, and I'm sure in 2 or 3 days we'll be able to actually digest that and accept that. But in this moment right now, I think this loss is just so heartbreaking because I don't think Indiana was a head and shoulders like better team than us. I don't think we executed that well, and they executed flawlessly. And for whatever reason, we could not get Hemby or Black down. It's not like either of those two guys had overly stellar nights, but when you think about it, they were extremely effective. Keelan Black getting 17 carries for 79 yards. Roman Hemby getting 19 carries for 60 yards. Neither of them getting in the end zone, but they did what they needed to do. And Fernando Mendoza, the kid, he did what he needed to do. It was like a mini Tom Brady out there as Tom Brady was watching. The atmosphere was incredible. That place was slammed with Indiana Hoosier fans, which I was kind of explaining to my wife. My wife was like, "Well, why are there so many Indiana fans?" Well, one, they have the largest living alumni base in the country, but two, it's like when you have a fan base who knows their team is the number one team in the country, they're undefeated. They're going to purchase tickets earlier and ahead of everyone else. It's when it's their first national championship they're playing for. So I think that's why we had the turnout we had. I mean, but Miami showed up. I mean, we were loud. You could definitely feel the electricity in the stadium the entire night. Um, our offense, like I said, just wasn't clicking. It at times it was, and there were these moments where we were able to move the ball, especially late in the third and into the fourth, obviously. But it was just too little, too late. Um, we're obviously going to have to talk about that blocked punt because that was the game. I mean, when you really look at this and you break it down, it was just mistakes, whether it was penalties, the missed field goal, or the block punt. I mean, you take the block field goal away, we win. You take the block field goal and the block punt and the missed field goal away, we win large. Um, it's just it's tough. It's tough. Indiana's great. Indiana, I just they executed and they executed really really well. I feel bad for these guys on UM's side just because I think they obviously know they didn't play their best game. This was not Miami's best game, but this was two juggernauts, and the one to make more mistakes lost, and that was us. That last drive, it felt good. A little unsure why we're pushing it down the field with 50 seconds left in the game, and you're already in the Indiana 41 at that point. You could do some quick dumpy passes to the outside and do some out routes, get a good 8 yards, 10 yards, two plays. I mean, with 50 seconds left, you're looking at what, four plays minimum. So you get into the Indiana 20, 25 with 15 seconds left. You get two quick plays off, or you go and, yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. I know this was a great season and this was a great team, and we should be proud that we made it to the national championship. It's the best season we've had in 23 years, right? Um, but to know how close you got to winning the championship, um, it's just hard. And it was weird because there were momentum shifts, but if I'm being honest with you, watching it in the stadium, it just constantly felt like Indiana had control of this game, and we were just constantly trying to play catch up, and we're just that's not who we are. That's not the team that we're built to be, and they just executed better. That's it. That's all I can really say. Let's look at some of these other stats, maybe. Yeah, just the interception and that blocked punt. I mean, Indiana holding the ball for 36 minutes. Again, we were able to score on those last four drives. It was, yeah, just brutal though. Just Indiana always had a answer for us, and I just I never felt confident in saying we were going to take the lead. Could we have made that comeback? Yeah, I think we absolutely could have. I think we could have came back and won that game, but that requires a lot of luck, and I just didn't. I don't know if we had that in it. There was also a point um, earlier in the game, and specifically in the first half, where we started getting away from the run. I don't know why we got away from the run and started passing, and especially with the screen passes to the flat. I just after the first two drives where we weren't getting anything with them, I'm not sure why we kept going back to them. And I understood um, Carson is limited and being able to stretch the field, and hopefully whether it's Derek Mensa or Luke Nickel, or I don't think Emery can do it either, but we need a quarterback who can stretch the field. When defenses know you're not going to go deeper than 12 yards, they're going to keep their safeties up. They're going to have you covered. They're going to blanket your wide receivers, and that's basically what Indiana did. I mean, our wide receivers were completely covered the entire time. So they made us a little one dimensional at times. all the catches that our wide receivers made were either like trick grabs or they were very short catches, and then the wide receivers just athleting, just getting out there and making moves, and it just wasn't enough. And you can't play like that, man. It's funny. You look at the team that played Ohio State, and then you look at this team, and they're just it's the inconsistency, and that's why. I mean, again, Indiana deserved to win this. They did. They were the better team. And at the end of the day, they executed better, and they were consistent in everything they did. You knew, like, and there wasn't a time during the game where I felt like, oh, we're gonna get a stop here. If we got a stop, it was like, holy crap, we got to stop. Okay, but it just felt like at any moment they could break loose this game, especially their running backs. I'm not sure whether we were just constantly tackling up like above the waist. I didn't see a lot of tackles that were effective below the waist in terms of stopping his legs. And when you have running backs like that are just churning their legs, they're going to be impossible to take down. And that's what it looked like. There was a ton of missed tackles, and they just that's what they did. They were just racking up yak yards or yards after contact, and I just this team was really good. They were really good. I can't even poo poo. I just think again, our mistakes are what really bit us. It's. I think if again we know you take 7 points off for the missed or for the block punt, and then you take another three. That makes it 20. So 20, 20, 21. We would have won. You take away the extra 3 points. It's what 17, 21. That's really what Indiana did and what we allowed, and that's it. Um, you just can't play football for a half. It requires 4 quarters, and that's what Indiana was able to do. I mean, it was just from the rip. It felt like they just had there was a confidence in the air, and they were able to execute. We had a confidence as well, but we were getting beat up. I think Brockmeyer in the center was getting beat up, and then costly mistakes, penalties at the worst times, putting us back first and 25 or first and 15, depending on what it was. I didn't understand half the officiating that was going on tonight because I was just like, okay, is it just playing defense? Are we just playing sloppy? I couldn't figure out what was going on because it felt like laundry was everywhere. Um, but yeah, Indiana got their first national championship. Hopefully, we will be back. That's pretty much all I've got for tonight. It's a heartbreaking loss for Miami, but we just weren't able to execute. We weren't able to run the ball efficiently, specifically in the first half and consistently, and we were absolutely unable to stretch the ball. I mean, there were a few decent passes that were downfield, but nothing major. Like Malachi Tony's 41-yard reception was really just a short pass that he was able to make um, some moves and get down there. But yeah, CJ Daniels' longest he had was 25. Alex Bauman's longest was 22. These were just miraculous catches, um, but not by design. And so, you're going to have that. I mean, Carson Beck only throwing for 59%. It's not going to, it's way below his average. So it's not like he had the best game. And again, it's not like the team played terrible. It's just when you're playing a team that does not make mistakes, they do not beat themselves. This is what happens. And so we got to regroup, retool for next year. Hopefully, we get Darian Mensa, get some other guys to fill in some gaps. We're really going to miss Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor. I thought the defense when they needed to showed up. 3 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss. Can't be mad at that considering the fact that Indiana only had 1 sack and 1 tackle for a loss. Um, but for whatever reason, it felt, again, you look at these box scores and they're very deceiving because you got to watch the game, and it just felt like Indiana just was able to execute flawlessly, and and they really weren't. It's not like they were, again, head and shoulders over Miami, but they just didn't make those mistakes, and we just fumbled the bag hard. Hard. God, that block punt is just, and punting, I feel like is just, does anyone else feel like this? I feel like punting's just been a little off. Like, just I don't feel, when you, especially like, let's just go back to the Lou Headley days, right? Headley days. Like, with Lou, I was like, oh, this thing's going to get booted to the end and we're Gucci. And not to blame our punter, but like, it's just special teams, specifically punt, has been a little, and then our kicker also, just that missed field goal is brutal, just knocking it right off the. I think he had one also in the Fiesta Bowl, which can't miss those kicks. You got to execute, guys. It's just, but we had our best season in 20 years. Grateful for that. We'll decompress. We'll look to the future, but for now, it's a tough loss, heartbreaking loss. Hats off to Indiana. Congrats on winning your first championship. And we will see you guys in the next video.